and signing of a declaration of acceptance of office. Are there any nominations, please, for chair?
I'll nominate you, Mark.
Thank you, Charlie. Are there any other nominations? If not, do we take a vote then, Sue, if there's only one nomination, or is that it?
No.
No.
Need a seconder.
Yeah, you need to second it, and then
right.
you vote. So as long as the majority in favour, there's not a queue of people rushing forward at the moment.
Right, okay, thank you. Sue, right, is there a seconder, please?
A second.
I'll second.
Wendy.
Okay.
Thank you. I've got Vince there, and right, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate your confidence again. Going to move, right, we were going to have the police as the next item, but unfortunately, PC Junaid police are not allowed to use Zoom for some reason which he doesn't understand, but it's a policy of the force, and therefore he's unable to attend us this evening, so we won't be able to do that. But if anyone has any queries or comments about the police, about what they're up to in Brickhill, he's very happy to answer. I've got an email back from him today which I'm going to circulate later on. So that was going to be my second item, but we're going to move on into election of vice chairman, and I wish to nominate Peter Blakeman. Is that seconded, please?
I'll second that, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Corinne. Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? If not, can I see those in favour, please? And I think I'm seeing enough waving hands to make that correct. Okay, thank you very much. Apologies for absence. Sue.
We've got Maurice Johns, and we have, unless she turns up, I can't see her, Sue Rani, and Borough Councillor Philippa Martin Moran Bryant as a sent apologies as well.
Yeah, Sue did say she would try and come along, but it depends how, you know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
She will try and come if she can.
Mhm.
Right, okay, thank you very much. So we're going to move on to item number 4, declarations of interest in items on the agenda. Have you received any written requests for dispensation, Sue?
No.
Okay, and therefore we can't consider any, but I just want to put it on record, I am going to declare an interest in matters relating to the railway, East West Rail, which is on item 13, but I do reserve my right to speak on the item, but I will not be voting on anything remotely controversial. Okay, item number 5, to confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 1st of April have been circulated. Are they an accurate record, please, of the meeting? Everyone happy? I've seen a few thumbs up. I'm going to say silence as agreement.
I think Michael had his hand up.
Sorry, Michael. Sorry, Michael. You're a bit smaller on my screen here.
I had my hand up for the,
sorry,
the
apologies.
previous item. Obviously, I'm involved with fair because obviously I'm on the I'm representing it for the parish council, so I'll just make that known at this stage, but I wouldn't say there's an interest as such.
Ditto.
Obviously there's involvement through the parish council, etc.
You don't have a financial interest in it, do you? So it's not.
No.
Can we just note that, and again for Paula as well?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much indeed, Paula. Thank you, Michael. Right, sorry, apologies for going on a bit too quick there, Michael. You are a bit small on my screen here because we've got all the other people on here as well. Sorry. So you have to wave big time, you know, or just shout.
Probably the first time I've ever been called small, but yeah.
Well, you know, my screen very small. Right. So the minutes I think we're happy with those. Now to consider item number 6 now, to consider and agree action re the co-option to fill the vacancies for North Ward and South and West Ward. And to just be clear, we've had 4 people who have come forward. We've had 3 for the North Ward, and we've had 1 for the South and West Ward. And everyone has seen the statements which those, unfortunately, they are all gentlemen, have submitted.
Can I just say I haven't managed to see the last one. I don't know when that was sent through. I haven't been available for email for the last 24 hours. So if that's come in after kind of a few days with opportunity to read it. I haven't seen it.
Which one haven't you seen?
I think I saw Mr. White, Mr. Barlow, Arison. I'm not sure of the name of the person I haven't seen. You said 4.
That's right. Peter Lanswood. It was sent now on the 3rd. Was it the 3rd? So can you clarify when you...
Yeah,
4th?
well, it went out because I know Paula responded to it, so she saw that one.
Yeah, that was for a previous person.
So you didn't see the person before that?
I've
Mr.
seen 3 of the 4.
So you've missed Mr. So who have you seen?
Mr. White, Mr. Barlow, Mr. Arison.
So the last one you talked about is the one that you commented on. So it did go out. So I don't know.
That one's come out. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read it because it was late.
Okay.
That was on the 4th of...
Yeah.
Was it 3rd of May or 4th of May? I'm not sure.
Yesterday. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 5th.
So just to be clear, is my reading of the rules we're operating by. Sue put out a note saying, please send in any nominations by a certain date or proposals to be co-opted. Legally, that cut-off is actually now. There's nothing in our standing orders, nothing legally, nothing in terms of what we agreed at our last meeting to prevent anybody coming forward pretty much to the last minute to put themselves, up as a councillor. Some councils do have standing orders which require a cut-off, i.e. 3 days, 4 days, whatever it might be. We don't. So, so from my perspective, they're all legally able to apply to be a councillor, and therefore, should all be considered and potentially voted upon. So, I'm not sure. I've seen Mike Barlow is here. I haven't noticed. I'm not sure if any of the other candidates are here. I can't spot Chris. Hello, Chris. I can see you now, waving. Thank you for that. Is Mr. Arifun here?
I don't know, but unless he answers, I don't know. I can't see him.
Mr. Lanswood, is it? Is he here?
Yes. Yes, he is. I can see him. There you go. I'll ask him to unmute so you can see him. But...
Okay, all right.
So Mr. Lanswood is there, yeah.
Okay.
So 3 out of 4 are here.
So we've got 3 out of 4. Okay, so basically the way it works for any contested election, if you like, for co-option, the way we vote is that we take the votes for each of those 3 candidates. In this case, it's 3 candidates. We then, if no one has an absolute majority of the votes cast, we then eliminate the person with the fewest votes and we vote again. And we keep going until we have a majority of the votes cast. Now, obviously, in this case, luckily we only had 3, so therefore we only have literally we'll have 2 rounds of voting at maximum. Okay. Now,
can I just interrupt, Mark? Can I interrupt? We've got 2 vacancies, but people have actually put the names forward for 1 only. They haven't put the names forward for both. So I think you need to consider Southwest as a separate one, and then the other 2 for North. I think really.
No, I am doing that, Sue. I have said that. I said there's 3 for one and 1 for the other. Yeah, it's quite clear what people have applied for.
Okay.
So, so basically, there's only. So, Michael, you've indicated a wish to ask some questions of candidate, or one candidate in particular. I don't know if you want to address your comments to all the candidates.
That's what I said. I did say all the candidates with the same question. But I mean, basically, I would actually like to hear from the candidates to hear what they've got to say, and I think we should have the opportunity to ask them questions if we want to.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We have
something written. You can't get anything from that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. And to be fair, we have done that before in previous co-options. At times, we've done that. We've had multiple candidates, and we've asked them each to to give a little speech or, well, introduce themselves, and then that may help the councillors in their decision making. Right. Shall we start then? Mike, do you want to start first? Do you want to just introduce yourself? You okay?
Yeah, sure. So I think if people have been on previous meetings, they've seen my face before.
Okay. Sorry, my apologies. Can I just say, Mike, sorry to interrupt you. There are a lot of people there are people on the call who are not muted, who are not councillors, and I think at this stage we probably need to mute the non-councillors, if that's okay, just to make sure we don't have any background noise interrupting what's going on. Sue, are you able to do that, or do you need help?
No, but I'll go down as you talk and I'll mute people.
Okay, right. Mike, sorry, please carry on. Sorry.
So Mike Barlow, lived in Brickhill for the last 10 years, but I'm a Bedford boy, born and bred. I currently work for Nokia. I work with public sector organisations and spend quite a lot of my time helping local councils win investment money from institutional investors to roll out things like fibre networks, private 5G networks, and things like that. So I'm quite used to dealing with kind of the public sector ways. And look, clearly I've got a bee in my bonnet around one particular issue, what's, I guess, driven me to apply for this is that I think we can make things better between us in the way that we represent the residents' interests.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Short and sweet. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to move on to Chris. I can see Chris. I still can't see Peter, but Chris.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a resident of Woodlands Park for the past 6 years. My wife and I moved up here from London. We both work from home. I work for a big music distributor in the USA, buying off of English record companies and selling a new release product to them. I'm also in the entertainment industry. I book and run acts, cabaret shows at Esquires in Bedford Town. We also did a VE Day celebration about 4 years ago in the arcade and worked with all the shops in that the Victorian arcade. So I'm very much interested in that side of things. And I'm always been interested in getting involved with the community. When we were in London, I was working with the police to build a neighbourhood watch scheme, which was very successful. And I just love this area. I just love being in Bedford. So I want to represent people around me and help them and hopefully bring some new ideas to the table. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. And lastly, Peter. I still can't see Peter. That's Charlie, not Peter.
I've asked him to unmute, Mark. There we go.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, Peter. Thank you.
Right,
Can't see you.
Zoom meetings. Right, but I've lived in Brickhill for about nearly 26 years now, originally from Luton. Previously worked in the telecoms industry, latterly on fibre optic planning. So I've got a lot of work experience in dealing with contractors and councils and anything to do with sort of street furniture and that. I'm a great rail enthusiast. I've been involved in politics on the outskirts for a number of years, probably over 30 years. This is the first time I've ever sort of gone for an official position. I also took early retirement from BT about nearly 4 years ago now, so I've got plenty of time on my hands. Okay.
Okay, anything else, Peter?
Um, and this 26 years I've lived here, I've seen lots of things happen in Brickhill. Some good, some not so good. So that experience would come in handy. A few new ideas.
Right. Okay. Peter, is that it?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
No, that's fine. All right, no problem. Thank you very much indeed. Right, over to questions then from the councillors. If anyone has any questions, please indicate and I'll call you. And Michael.
I was going to say,
Oh, sorry, I've got Michael's hand up first. I think he's getting first.
Yeah, obviously one of the burning issues in the ward at the minute is the ongoing East West Rail saga. I'd just like to ask the two candidates their opinion on it and whether they support the repeal or not, basically.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Thank you. Chris, do you want to go first?
Oh, yeah.
Hang on, I'm just trying to mute somebody. Bit of background noise again. Apologies.
Okay, well, as Mark knows, my wife and I were helping him distribute the Liberal Democrat newspaper to Woodlands Park.
Mm-hmm.
We did that for, I think, about 2 years. We actually did the last one in January, I think. So we've been Liberal Democrat supporters pretty much all our lives. Indeed, my wife was part of the party at one point. But I do not support Route E. And I think that the Bedford Council and the Brickhill councillors should back the residents. So if I get elected, I will be backing no Route E.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you. Sorry, thanks, Chris. Yeah, and thanks for your help, but that's another matter entirely. Yeah. Peter. Do you want to comment, please?
Right. Well, as a rail enthusiast, perhaps knowing a bit more about railways than some people, Route E is the only viable option if we want to grow the town and bring in tourists and more business. Route passing through Bedford's Midlands Station is the only way to go. The problems with Route E aren't insurmountable, and for a lot of the time it will be in cuttings or maybe even a tunnel. So a lot of the arguments put forward against Route E are just sort of knee-jerk reactions, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask Paula now and then move on to Alistair after that. I've got Alistair indicating, so Paula next, please.
yeah, I'm just thinking that Brickhill Parish Council have rescinded support for the northern routes and have voted in favour of working with other northern parishes against Route E. So I wonder if Peter's stance on this is at odds with Brickhill Parish Council's position that was voted and agreed in a couple of meetings ago.
Sorry, is that a question or a comment?
So as a question to Peter, coming on to the Brickhill Parish Council in odds with the decision the Brickhill Parish Council has taken, how does he feel that he can support Brickhill Parish Council if he's not supporting the agreed rescindment of the northern route?
So Peter,
Can I have can I have a point of order? Because
sorry,
it should be, sorry, the question, you need to ask Peter a question that, you know, because even if he's coming onto the council with, even if he doesn't support the route, it's got to be a question that needs to be answered, something Because
so
we've asked him a question and
So the question, Catherine, is how can he support the parish council's work if he's not supporting a decision that the council has made?
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
question.
but that's just one part. Okay, but
For
that's just
sure.
one part of the parish council's
For
work.
sure.
Yes, and there
That's
are
my
lots of us
question.
on the parish council who do support Route E. So Peter would be
Hang on.
joining a parish council which was divided in opinion on this, Paula.
Charlie, please, let's keep, this isn't supposed to be a debate. This is supposed to be a, you know, trying to keep it pretty simple to, people can ask questions of the different candidates, that's fine.
Yes,
And they can
fair
ask-
questions, Mark, fair questions.
Yeah. But yeah, to put it in context then, to be clear, what we agreed last time was we agreed in March, I think it was, to support the Northern Village parishes in their opposition to a train line through Clapham, Brickhill, Redden and Wilton. And that was our proposal, that was the proposal in March that was agreed. And I think in April, that sort of, we just sort of slightly built on that to make, just in case people are not aware of what was approved by the council. And that's the council. Individual people can absolutely disagree with what the council agrees, but the council agrees what the council agrees, essentially. Right, Peter, I'll put it over to you again, if that's okay, just to respond.
I was under the impression that the council, or the parish council, had just withdrawn its support, but wasn't against Route E. It's just not supporting Route E.
It's done two things, actually. Yeah, it's done two things. It's withdrawn its support. It's withdrawn, I think is the right word, for the northern route. Well, we've withdrawn our, sorry, apologies. We withdrew our endorsement, or sorry, I can't remember the exact word we used back in March 2019. I don't have it in front of me here. But basically, we withdrew that statement. We rescinded that, that's right. We rescinded the decision we took in March 2019 to support either routes D and E, essentially, a northern route. And in the meantime, we also agreed in March to support the Northern Village parishes in their opposition to a train line through the four parishes, Clapham, Brickhill, Rangeley and Wilden. I think that's the
just because an individual member has a different opinion doesn't affect their ability to work as a councillor. I mean, MPs, etc., don't always totally agree with the way the parties go and their leadership, but it doesn't stop them being an MP. So yeah, I don't see the argument really.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Paula. Right. Can I ask Alistair now? I've got Alistair and then I've got Wendy indicating.
Thank you, Mark. Could I just ask the candidates, bearing in mind that this is a parish council we're talking about, which has many issues to deal with, not just one, and you are actually putting yourselves forward to represent a specific ward in the parish. So what issues do you think affect the people that live in the ward that you are offering to represent? And how are you going to find out what they are?
Should we ask all three candidates that question? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair because at the moment we seem to be focusing on one issue. My experience has been on the council for a couple of years now, is that there's a lot of other stuff and there will be other stuff coming up too. And if you are specifically supposed to be representing the ward that you represent, not just an issue that you happen to be interested in.
Thanks, Alistair. So I'm going to go to Mike. Can I go to yourself first, please?
Yeah, sure. Look, as I think I've intimated in the past, I've really got no interest in railways. My reason for joining is actually very much more general than that, which is about listening and understanding to residents' concerns and representing them from an independent standpoint. I really don't care what the issue is, whether it's the railway, poverty, world hunger, whatever. My view is that actually our role as councillors is to listen, understand, and represent?
Not Barlow, I think it's Councillor.
Sorry, please, just, it is for the councillors only, this section, okay? We've gone past the public, no, my apologies, we haven't actually got, we're doing the, I should have said this correctly. We're doing the co-option first, and then we move on to the other items, which include the public open session, okay? So, Mike, thank you for that answer, appreciate it. Peter.
Well, one of my main concerns about for North Ward, where I live, is actually street lighting. Since they put these new LED lampposts in, which are great from a energy saving and green planet type of thing, it's actually very dark. There's a lot of old people, and I personally have trouble with my eyesight at night. I'm wandering around the streets of Brickhill in winter. It's quite dangerous in my opinion, so that'd be one of the things I would be bringing forward.
Okay, anything else, Peter?
Speeding along Avon Drive and down Kimbolton Road, that's another big problem that I come across on almost a daily basis.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to Chris.
Yeah, well, obviously not a resident of North Ward, but I go through it and I use it a lot. There were previous parish council meetings which I listened into where you talked about heavy goods vehicles from Manton Heights going down through that area of our ward. Also, the speed awareness is very important. Everyone must have been forced behind, have a car come up their backside when you're trying to do your 20 miles an hour and be really careful, and then overtake you at great speed. So that's really important for me. I'm very much into the environment as well, so I'd like to organise litter picks in that area and also all areas really, to clean up our streets. So yeah, it's not just about East West Railway for me. It's about being part of a whole thing, really, and being part of the team, as it were, and bringing what I can to the table to make that a better place for everybody to live.
Thank you, Chris. Going to move on to Wendy, who is indicating.
Yes, thank you, Chair. We've moved on actually a bit, but it was when the point was put forward about the East West Rail. Yes, this is an issue now, which has obviously taken a lot of our time, but that should not be the only reason you want to be on the parish council. The parish council has already been said by other people. We are covering everything. East West Rail is an issue, as we have other issues. That is not the reason to be coming onto this council.
What's your question, Wendy?
I said we'd moved on. It wasn't a question.
Sorry.
It was making the point, because the point was made, I think, by Paula about the East West Rail and being on the parish council, and what I wanted, I couldn't get in quick enough, was to say that isn't the whole work of the parish council. It's an issue we're dealing with at the moment.
Right. So, thank you very much, Wendy. Any other questions from councillors?
Yeah,
not
me.
mine. Sorry, Kathleen. I didn't see a hand down there. Right. Hiya.
Okay, so Brickhill is got a different number of ages of people that
We lost your sound. Can't hear you.
putting the different ages of people, like we have the outdoor activities for young people, and we have the party we do for the elderly. What could you suggest as an activity we could bring to the other residents in Brickhill? That is to all the candidates.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I'm going to go to Peter first. Trying to rotate it a bit here.
So I couldn't hear the question properly then.
So cutting out. Catherine, can I try and summarize? I think you were saying we've got play equipment for the young people. The parish council normally organises an event for the older people, a free event for the older, for the very old people. I think Catherine was asking, what can you do for the people in between, essentially, for the rest of the community? Is that right, Catherine? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your audio is very breaking up today. I don't know what your microphone
Sorry.
might be a bit down. No worries. So Peter.
Right. Well, we've got plenty of facilities in the parish. I mean, we've got the community centre, and we've got some great green spaces like the Waverley Green. I'm sure we could organise something down there for like a, I don't know, some sort of market or what they used to call bring and buy sales. Of course, we already have the car boot sales, not at the moment, obviously, because of COVID, but
yeah,
we always had the car boot sales at the church. They attract a lot of people. I'm sure if enough people are interested, the community centre is available to organise things like, say, conversational French or something like that.
Chris?
Well, yeah. I was really pleased with when Mark arranged the 100th anniversary end of World War I on Waverley Green with the big torch. And although wasn't that well attended because it was a really cold night, I was down there with some friends who had had a Jeep, and we had a lot of people interested in that. And this is really my area, because I think Waverley Green needs to have a fete. We need to bring the community together on that green. We can have so much opportunity to do something like a summer fete. Obviously not this year, but next year. I understand there used to be one, or a small one, but I didn't ever attend it. So I would say something like that would be interesting and bring the community together. We could have food stalls there. We could have all sorts of things, dance competitions. We could have acoustic stage. We could put loads of things up there to bring the community together.
Thank you, Chris. Mike?
I've really not got a clue how to answer that. I mean, if it comes to organising events, what you're asking for is ideas here. So look, if there's an idea, I'm more than happy to get involved, and I'm more than happy to drive things. But if you want the idea itself, then I think you're best asking the residents.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the councillors to the three candidates? I can't spot any other hands. Sorry. Some dog somewhere's trying to join the conversation. Not sure who that dog is, but right, okay. I think we're going to move on to, thank you very much for the answers, all three of you, appreciate it. We're going to move on now to voting. So I'm going to do, first of all, and I think Sue is correct, you've sent out acceptance of office type forms to each of the candidates, is that right?
I have. So if candidates who've completed them and returned them are elected, then they will be able to join the meeting and vote. But of course, you can still elect somebody who hasn't completed that. They just wouldn't be able to take part in the meeting tonight. So, you know, that doesn't preclude anybody, if you see what I mean,
sure,
from actually becoming a parish councillor in terms of tonight, but they wouldn't be able to act as a councillor.
Yeah. Okay.
Until they completed paperwork, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So, which way around to do it? I'm going to do North Ward first, because that's the order on the paper. So, I need to ask the councillors to, we've got three candidates. Let's be very clear about this. We've got Peter Manswood, we've got Chris White, and we have Andre. Aratun, get the name right. My apologies for that.
Afternoon.
Right.
Afternoon.
Arathun, is it? I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Arathun. Yes, Arathun.
Okay. Right, Arathun. Okay, great stuff. So we've got 3 candidates. So I'm going to take those in alphabetical order by surname. Can I see those in favour of Andre Arathun, please? And if I don't see you voting, I won't mention your name. I can't see any. I don't think I can see all the councillors. It's the problem.
I can't see any voting.
Could you just ask the councillors by name, Mark, and we'll
Yeah.
respond who we're voting for?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
that's it. Okay, that's a novel idea.
Shall I
Okay,
do that?
Sue, you've
I've
got
actually got a list. Shall I go down?
You've got the list then.
Yes.
That's a good idea, Charlie. Thank you for that.
Alistair. Mr. Arthun? No. No.
Well, do you want to just do it one? If you're doing one at a time, you can just ask each person who they're voting for. So just ask Alistair who he's voting for.
Okay. Alistair.
Mr. Lambswood.
Okay. Catherine. You're muted, Catherine. You're on mute.
Peter.
Okay.
Sorry, can you say that again, Catherine? I couldn't quite hear you.
Peter.
Peter, Mr. Lambswood. Yes.
Lambswood. Okay. Right.
Okay. Charles.
Yeah, thanks. I'll vote for Mr. Lambswood, please.
Corinne.
Mr. Lambswood, please.
Mark.
Mr. Lambswood.
Lovely. It's in alphabetical order. That's why I'm going down. Michael. Michael.
White.
Mr. White.
Miss White
Okay.
again.
Morris obviously isn't here. Peter.
Mr. Lambswood.
Okay. Paula.
Mr. White.
Okay. Stuart.
Mr. Lambswood.
Okay. Sudesh isn't here. Vincent.
Mr. Lambswood.
Okay. Wendy.
Mr. Lambswood.
Okay. That's everybody.
Is that it? Is everybody?
Unless I've missed
Okay.
somebody on the list.
Okay. So Mr. Lambswood is co-opted. Thank you. And that's no reflection on any other candidates.
No.
Right. Okay. I'm going to move on. Thank you. I'm going to move on to the co-option for the South and West Ward, for which we've got one nominee. That's the right word.
Yes,
So that's Mike Barlow. And I'm going to propose that we co-opt Mike for that ward, if that's the right. Can we just, are we happy to, sorry, can I just see votes again for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We better go through it one by one.
Okay, Alistair, let's go through. Alistair.
Yes.
Catherine.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Corinne.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Paula.
Yes.
Stuart.
Yes.
Vince.
Yes.
And Wendy.
Yes.
So that's everybody here that's present, obviously not people. So Mr. Barlow is co-opted on for South Ward, yeah?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay,
So
congratulations.
just to be clear, then, because Mr. Barlow has signed his declaration and he's forwarded to me, he can take part, obviously in voting and so on. Mr. Lambswood's going to have to get that sent to us. And then once he's got that to us, then he'll be able to take part. But I have sent all the paperwork to everybody, all the candidates, so everybody can see what we're doing tonight.
Right.
So if
Okay.
that makes sense.
So yeah, congratulations, Mike and Peter. But Peter, if you return, if you do return that form, you're on.
Mhm.
And just to reiterate, as a point out to all new councillors, we do support training for new councillors. There is training provision. Normally a 2-hour session of an evening, And so the parish council pays the cost of those. I don't know when the next opportunities are for training, but it's straightforward stuff, essentially. It's useful to do if you can fit the time in.
Once we know from BATPC, I'll let people know. But the other thing, of course, is I need to send register of interests out to those two. That needs to be returned to the Borough Council, Bedford Borough, within 28 days of tonight. So that paperwork I will do either tonight or tomorrow, depending how long the meeting goes on. Okay, and that's done, yeah.
Sure.
And if those councillors could also confirm for me by email what the address is, what the email address they want to use, because all that needs to go out on the website. And also if they can send a little pen portrait and that's a little bit of a write-up and a decent photograph, that's to go on the website, please, so that we can update that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any queries, obviously contact Sue, or you're welcome to give me a call about it at all. Right. Thank you very much. So I'm going to move on now to the public open session. So we've got 15 minutes available, and appreciate the time. It's quite late already, 2017. We've got 15 minutes available. Anyone in the members of the public wish to raise anything? Again, I can't. You just have to raise your hand, I think is probably the best thing, and then we spot you.
Can I ask a question about item 18, please?
Sure. Who is that, please?
Colin Franklin.
Hello, Colin. Yeah, what's the question?
Regarding question item 18, are these the signs that say welcome to Brickhill Parish?
Yeah.
Right. The reason I ask is the one that is adjacent to Eagle Gardens, there's no flowers around it.
There are, and Alistair, yeah. Alistair very kindly has sent me photographs of it. I've sent them out to the councillors today. They're not as obvious as the other two because it's a bit lower down from the road, but there are flowers. There were a fair collection of daffodils there this year.
Could not some tubs be put underneath it or something like that?
Can we take that point on board? Yeah. Thanks, Colin. The issue with anything like that, anything like tubs or anything complicated, is the question of maintenance and watering and that sort of thing. So,
well, I wouldn't worry about watering with the amount of rain we're getting at the moment.
After the driest April ever, nearly. Right. But anyway, look, can we just? I'll take your comment on. I see. I know where you're coming from, Colin. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else got any? Anyone else wish to ask a question? If not, we're going to move on. We've got a packed agenda. So, thank you very much, Colin. And item number 8, to review the terms of reference for the 2 committees and advisory group and to elect members. So we've got planning committee, first of all. So we're supposed to send out the terms of reference every year for review. Normally it doesn't need any change, but you're welcome to make any comments, suggestions for amendments to the terms of reference if you think there's a requirement to do so. Appreciate we've been working somewhat differently this year, or the past year, for planning than we would do normally. Peter, have you had any chance to look at this at all?
Well, this year we've only now got 3 members of the committee. It'd be nice if we could increase that to 5.
Okay. So in terms of the terms of reference, are you happy with the terms of reference as they stand?
They seem to be satisfactory, yes.
Okay, right. Can you confirm your membership, please?
Yes, yes.
So it's yourself?
And Stuart Green and Alistair Grant at the present time.
Okay. But I think, so do the 3 of you wish to continue with that?
Yeah, I can, Mark.
That's great. Thank you. Stuart, thank you. Would anyone else wish to become a member of the planning committee? The perks are not great, I have to tell you that much. It's quite an important role because we do have the right to comment on planning applications affecting Brickhill. So, Paula, are you
I'll step up to that committee if required.
Fantastic. Well, there's no such, yeah, it's always great to have a volunteer. Thank you very much, Lee, for that. The agenda is out now for the next meeting, I think, virtual meeting or however you organise it. But thank you, Paula. And there's still room for one more if anyone else would like to be a member of the planning committee. Bear in mind, a lot of it is straightforward individual housing amendment, shall we say, or changes to a particular property. But I'm not selling it very well, am I? Okay, let's move on then. And if we find that no one is on the committee, maybe we'll ask persuade them to go back onto planning. So finance of personal advisory group. This is a small group which basically tries to review some of the financial stuff each year. It has no delegated power. I had a look at the terms of reference. I thought I was okay with it. Anyone else got any comments on the terms of reference?
No, I was with that, Mark.
Okay. Over the past year, myself and Corinne and Catherine have been members of that. Corinne, are you okay to carry on, Catherine?
Happy to continue.
I'm happy to continue.
Thank you very much indeed. The meetings are open to everybody, so it's entirely who wants to get involved with it, but it's just helpful to have a core group, I think. Can we move on? Is that okay? So the last one is the Allotments and Open Spaces Committee. I was going to suggest that for the terms of reference, we've got in there that it has to create and implement a 3-year plan for Waveney Green and to review annually. I think we need the same for the motorway walk play area.
So what you mean, just add it in, add Moresby Walk as part of the open spaces bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's the same thing. We need a long-term, it's a longer-term approach to it, isn't it? So we need to understand what's the basic, intention around when we're looking to replace things or add things.
So are you talking about a totally separate terms of reference for Moresby Walk?
I'm suggesting item number 3, when it says to create and implement a 3-year plan for Waveney Green and review annually.
Right.
We could either just insert the words and motorway walk play area after Waveney Green.
Yes, that's fine.
So it just increases the scope of that to make it formally. I think in essence you are already covering. We do try and cover that play area within the scope of that committee. I know we had to do some stuff a bit quicker than that as a matter of urgency, but I think we should be treated as part of the remit. Vince, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay, great stuff. So 4 members. Who are the current members apart from Vince?
Michael.
And yourself, Mark.
Yeah, me and Michael John Webb.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to be a member of that committee? If you're very lucky, you might get free allotment vegetables. I've never had any, by the way, just make it very clear. Any of the new councillors be interested in allotments, open spaces? This is Waveney Green and the motorway walk, this is the play area, and the wonderful Brickhill allotments. Okay. We'll move on then. Thank you. So for the minute, it's Vince, Michael John Webb, and myself will continue in membership of that committee. We have a meeting coming up, I believe. I'm going to move on to item 9 then, to nominate one person to vote at the general meetings of the Brickhill Community Association. So Brickhill Community Association run the community centre on behalf of the parish council. It's a separate charity, and I'm on that management committee as a personal individual member of the association. But in the past we've had, I think Catherine has been nominated. I'm sure we're due for another meeting. Stuart can confirm. Stuart is the chairperson of that organisation.
Right, so yes.
Again, in an individual capacity. But so being an individual member to vote, to be a person to represent the parish council at the general meeting is not an onerous thing. Just need to make sure that person is informed when those meetings take place.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine, are you okay to continue with that, or does someone else want to do it instead of you?
I would like to step down for that if somebody else would like to take on that role, because I think it was myself and the parish councillor that stepped down who did those meetings. So if anybody else would like to take on the role of supporting or being the parish councillor on the committee, that'd be helpful.
Just to be clear, it's only the general meeting, so it's not an individual, it's not the committees that meets during the year, but it's just the one annual meeting typically of the association. Anyone else interested in doing that? I can't see any hands. Again, the perks aren't great, but it's a useful thing because they take a lot of weight off our shoulders in terms of running that building.
Mark, if it's not attending one meeting, I'm happy to step up for that.
Corinne, that's brilliant. Everyone happy with that? Okay, thank you. Stuart, could you please make a note and tell Sue, Community Centre Sue?
I will. Yeah, yes.
Right. Okay, going to move on to item 10. Thanks, Corinne. Item 10, to consider introducing a temporary amendment to standing orders to ensure the parish council is compliant to government rules and regulations to cover the ending of the virtual parish council and other meetings when the COVID restrictions, whilst they continue. Just to reiterate, as I think in Sue's supporting notes, the regulations which allow us to meet virtually expire on the 8th of May. And after which our meetings have to be face-to-face, which, considering there are rules about how many people can be in a room at any one time, is quite challenging. Sue, do you want to talk to your item?
Well, of course, we don't know what will happen from the 17th of May when the next step in the roadmap is reached. But my understanding from talking to Wendy in her role as centre manager, she said, as it says in the meeting, in the notes I've sent out, that currently the centre allows up to 30 people in the church hall, 20 in the large hall, and they're the two main rooms that we would be considering using. We, of course, use the large hall because the church hall is usually busy. There are always lots of groups in the centre, so that is the case. We, at the minute, with current regulations, therefore, would be limited to 20 people in the large hall. How that will change once 17th of May comes around, we don't know, but we would, of course, have to comply with government regulations, and of course, the centre, the community centre would also have to do the same. So that's the position we're in. But it applies, of course, to every parish council across the country. We've all got the same problem. Many meet in much smaller places than Brickhill do. So it is tricky as to what we can do. I've put the comment, we could try and see if the church hall is free, but once groups are back up and running, it won't be, because it generally never is when we obviously have our parish council meeting. Otherwise, we'd be in there probably more. So that's really where we're up to. So the only amendment really you could make is really to put that you would comply with whatever restrictions are in place, government restrictions at the time, and therefore it would need to be quite fluid, wouldn't it? It would need to change accordingly, really.
Yeah.
Either increase numbers or reduce them, you know.
Yeah. So I think you mentioned earlier today that there's a council you've heard of that is planning to continue meeting virtually, even though they have no legal rights to do so. Basically, if we are making decisions, we have to meet in public. And in the absence of meeting virtually, we have to meet face to face. Right. So the only thing I was going to suggest, though, is that the challenge we have is not all councillors have been vaccinated yet, and not all members of the public have been vaccinated. So by dragging people into a meeting, we are exposing them to risk, which is actually contrary to government advice currently. But so the best I can see that we can do, apart from, as Sue said, try and meet, maintain the social distancing of 2 meters. You know, there's aeration. I'm sure Actually, St Mark's doing its best to keep the place as safe as possible. The only other thing I think we can add to that is we can continue allowing residents to ask questions virtually. Though councillors have to meet physically to make decisions, we could allow residents to continue to, if you like, dial in via Zoom or some other method to pose questions in the public open question session. So in terms of agreeing a temporary amendment to our standing orders, apart from the basic point that we need to be compliant with these restrictions, can I also propose that we do enable residents to join the public open session and ask questions virtually?
Mark, I was just going to make the point. I know that there's discussion, the borough are doing this as well, aren't they, about hybrid meetings. That is, some people present, some not present. We could consider that, but I'm not sure how that would work with Zoom, because obviously, you know, we can do it on Zoom like now, because obviously, but once we're in a position where perhaps I'm in the room, everybody present would have to be linked into that Zoom meeting, wouldn't they? So, you know, we'd have to do it like that. We'd have to think that one through, really, is all I'm saying.
But I think if we want to allow residents to ask questions without having to turn up and go into a room full of other people, that's the only way I can see it working.
Yeah, I agree. We could probably do a Zoom meeting with most of you present in the room, i.e. councillors, but have a Zoom link so that other people are, you know, linking in. That's the only way.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Or you could offer for the public to come in one at a time to make their points, as long as it doesn't take it over the 20. If they've registered.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's a fair point, Mike. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I just think, you know, there may be people out there who won't want to go into a room like that. So I think we can continue to offer the option, you know, the option to them to dial in if they want to.
I just wonder if the government's lockdown pathway is followed, if the map is followed, we're only really considering this perhaps 1-2 meetings, because it's June 21st, isn't it? The social distancing possibly may change. So when we're not looking at, I mean, I know you say temporary, we're not looking at a long-term situation here, are we?
Yeah, it's purely while, you know, this COVID situation continues. Well, we just have to be compliant with, we need to be compliant with two things. We need to be compliant with the national regulations about COVID on the one hand, and the regulations as far as parish councils on the other hand. So we're trying to tie the two things together somehow.
Yeah.
Which is not always straightforward.
No.
So are we happy to do some form of...
Can I just comment before you move on?
Sorry, Catherine, I didn't see you indicating. Apologies.
That's okay. I think the advantage of having a hybrid means we've been getting more resident participating. Yeah. So I do like the idea for us to continue having a hybrid meeting where as parish councillors are in the room, but with the screen where we can actually see the residents and we can control the Zoom link that way. But I think it's been quite important in terms of people participating, and this has opened up the parish council to more participation. So we need to continue to do that, I think.
Okay, thank you. Agreed. I think we just need to work on the practicalities of that so we can work out how to do it in simple terms. But if we're happy broadly that with a temporary amendment to our standing orders to allow us to comply with government regulations, at the same time complying with the regulations as they apply for COVID, as well as the regulations as they apply for parish councils, but allowing residents to join via Zoom or whatever if they wish. Is that okay with everyone? I'm just looking to see nobody dissenting, so I'm going to take silence as being agreement. Okay, thank you. That's one thumb up, two thumbs up. Okay, great. Right, going to move on then, if I may, to well, which actually ties into the next one, item 11. To consider the recording and transmission parish council meeting following the ending of virtual meetings. So it's really sort of the same thing. So previously, we're very fortunate in that Chris Bales, former parish councillor, he sort of sorted it out, and I think in simple terms, again, I'd like to simply propose that we do want to record and allow for transmission of parish council meetings in the future. We just need to work out the technology for that, the best way of achieving it. What we had before with the system that Chris was using, audio pickup was not that great from around the room. Sometimes it had more noise coming from the back, from the small hall. So I think we need to try and do, if we can, try and do a bit better to make it usable for other people. But we just need to work on some, just understand the possible options there, and also potential costs for it and practicalities. Are you okay for us to go ahead with exploring those options? If there's any costs involved, we'll have to come back for, I guess, a future meeting.
Well, we need it for the next meeting then.
Well, we're going to have we may have an interim solution next time round. But whether we've actually gone out, because we don't have any costs yet. For instance, the kit that Chris was using, I'm not sure how much it cost on it, and I don't know yet, Michael. Yeah, so we'll come up with a. Yeah.
Can I just say that you need to get a couple of councillors together who are going to investigate this, really, because otherwise, unless you're about to investigate it, because I think we just need some tech-savvy councillors who could look into doing that. The problem we've got is an issue with the link to the YouTube that that previous councillor had. And that has now moved across to Simon, who looks after the website for us. And he has access into the YouTube. It's he who uploads our information. I am not able to get access to it. We have tried that. So it's going to need probably at least another councillor who's prepared to take that on, maybe work with Simon to find if there's a means of getting that, because we did try to do it with these Zoom meetings, that is to link up directly to YouTube, but I'm not able to do that. It wouldn't accept me. I can't even access our Facebook. It won't let me access that. So yeah, I think that just needs a couple of savvy councillors, don't you? Know what they're doing and know about this sort of kit, really.
Yeah, well, I know a fair bit about it. This would have been the ideal one who organises events, but hey ho. But yeah, I don't mind having a look to a certain extent if someone else wants to come on board.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, thank you very much indeed. Anyone else wish to take part in that conversation? I'll be happy to be in the loop on that one. I mean, I think if you think about it, by next time, worst case scenario is we still have our laptops there, so we still be in the room with our laptops, but only the person speaking needs to be on open mic. Everyone else needs to have the mic closed. So there's ways and means we can do it in the short term before we get any possible longer term approach. What we don't want to have is we just need a practical way of doing it, essentially, which is affordable as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we okay in principle with that? That we'll work on it. We'll get some options. But in the worst case scenarios for our next meeting, we'll end up with probably laptops in front of us. I see that as being the basic starting point. Or phones, whichever. Is that okay? So we're going to move on to item 12.1 to approve the bank reconciliations and any accounts for payment. They have been circulated, I believe. Any questions on those? Everyone happy?
There is possibly another one, which is the community centre. You know about it, Mark, £450. This is for the Legionella draining of the water tanks and so on. Yes?
Yeah, so I saw that from Sue, our client today. And I said, yeah, we should go ahead and do it because it's a health and safety issue. But obviously we've received, we have sight of the quote, but it's not an invoice yet. Okay, everyone happy with what's in the accounts of payment? Okay, thank you. To move on to the second part then, to agree the allocation reserves will be as at the 31st of March 2021. So in Sue's supporting documentation, she's outlined some key figures around Moseley Walk, Transport Initiative, and the Neighbourhood Development Plan. We have got to return the unspent money from NDP back to the grant awarding body, Groundworks UK, and we'll come on to that in the item a bit later on. Sue, do you want to add anything to that item about reserves?
Well, we have currently £313,193 in reserve. The bulk of that is in earmarked reserve, that is identified for projects. Within a very short space of time, we will have spent £85,000 of that reserve, because 10,000 is being spent on Ruxmead, and that's now complete. So we're waiting the invoice for the parish council's share of that. And the £75,000 is what has been agreed for the safety average speed cameras for Brickhill Drive. So that will be spent fairly soon. We've got about nearly 30,000 which will be spent very soon, which is the work on Moseley Walk. That is for the refurbishment of the play area. So what and also the 8,000 will go very shortly, because that's repaying the grant for the NDP. So what I'm pointing out is we've got at least £100,000 of that money, which is going to disappear within the next probably 6 months. The one that we'll be waiting longest for will be the average speed cameras, because obviously we've got to wait for them to be put in place. And then looking amongst the other reserves, we've got Waveney Green. We do spend money. We've got footpath, more work to be done on footpath, potentially more work anyway on Waveney Green. Then, of course, we're responsible for the community centre, so that's the 33,000 we've got in reserve for that. And then, of course, we've got our 140 allotments, and therefore that we have about, well, we've currently got £10,000, but we're just about to spend 2,000 of that on the keys, because the invoice is amongst the items to be spent. So currently in undesignated, we've got 15,500 of that amount, and we've got 14,000, which is what remains from the last year's budget. That is the current year fund. That's about £30,000. Now, the recommendation by the audit authorities is that a parish council should keep between 3 and 12 months of its precept in undesignated, effectively emergency reserve. That is in the event of something going wrong with precept being paid. Essentially, it's that. I mean, we know last year there was an error. Admittedly, it was the other way around. We got paid too much, but there is a potential that for some reason we don't get paid. So that is recommendation. So if you look at 30,000 as for 122,000 precepts approximately, you're in that realm, aren't you, of 3 to 12 months of it. And that's it really. That was all I was going to say.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do really is here just to make sure we start the new financial year really with a clean footing of, this is what our reserves are, what should be taken forward. Is everyone happy with that? Can always come back to if you have any questions later on another time, it'll be fine, right? So I'm going to move on, if I may, to 12.3. This is formally to agree paying various bills by a direct debit. We need to do this periodically. Everyone happy with that? It's a formality, essentially. Thank you very much. And item 12.4, to agree to pay HMRC by direct debit as well.
Okay, right, that's slightly changed, Mark. It's going to just be done by backs. I thought we could just set up a direct debit and HMRC take what they need each month, which is what I always understood a direct debit to be, but in fact, it's easier just to pay each month by backs. So that will be back.
Okay. All right, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, all right.
Yeah,
again, everyone happy with
HMRC,
that?
yeah.
Right, thank you very much.
Okay.
And 12.5, to review and agree the rate subscriptions to outside bodies, BATPC, that's the Town and Parish Council Network for Bedfordshire, Society of Local Council Clerks, and the National Society of Allotment and Local Gardeners. Everyone happy with those subscriptions? Okay, thank you very much indeed. Good stuff. So Moving on to item 13, to agree further action re East West Rail, which we have two bits in there. One, to consider a grant to be fair, and two, to consider a strategy to consult with residents re Route E and the alignment to meet the 9th of June deadline for response. I've had fun today, just working my way through the background here, and I just wanted, if I can just share, I want to share my screen, if that's okay, and then we can sort of get into the detail.
Mark, I need to declare an interest in the Be Fair piece. I'm a director of Be Fair Limited, the non-profit company, so I'm declaring that.
Understood. Yep. Thank you, Mike. That's great. Basically, anytime anybody does feel the need to declare, just simply do shout out. Right. So hopefully in a minute it will be showing my screen. You can just see this. I just wanted, before we get into the details, I wanted to just reiterate, go over the timeline which we've been, as from my perspective. And then I've got some other items I'd like to just try and run through. I was trying to make sure we don't sort of have one big conflated conversation. I think it's useful to try and break it down a bit. If there are any extra points people want to sort of highlight separately, perhaps we can do that. So if you can see, can you all see it? Hopefully you all can. So just to reiterate then, sorry. So councillors have been, parish councillors as well as borough councillors have been invited by East West Rail to various sessions in addition to what the public have been invited to. So there was a session on the 31st of March, and there's a presentation which is available to everybody on the East West Rail website from that session. And that was them talking, that was pretty much them on a send mode to us. They were talking directly to us when they came out with their latest proposition. We've had our meeting the 1st of April, and I'm going to move on to that briefly, if I may. And then there was a meeting on the 8th of April for a specific meeting for the northern part of the route, which I don't think I was able to go to. And then we had a meeting with the Mayor, Councillor Headley, and John Shorten from the Borough Council on the 20th of April, and that's been recorded and it's via our website. And also, I just highlight, we had a meeting at our annual parish meeting for Brickhill. We did cover that as well, specifically in relation to Hawke Drive and the potential impact on Brickhill Scott Primary School and St Thomas Hall. So we highlighted some points there. Unfortunately, the head teacher from Thomas More had to leave before we got to that point on the agenda, but we did try and raise it. We covered it as far as Anita is concerned at Scott Primary. So that's the past. Going forward, there are some dates coming up. There's actually a key date, arguably a key date, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Deadline for questions to the Borough Council for their virtual meetings, which take place on the 12th and 13th of May. Those meetings are aimed at everybody, the general public, but I guess councillors can also send in questions as well. Their own consultation, which they're running at the moment, to influence their response, is closing on the 14th of May. So again, people can take part in their own consultation, and I've got that in another slide. East West Rail have got further meetings about the proposals, one on the 17th of May, and they are arranging another meeting for councillors on the 26th of May, and they've got deadlines for the 20th of May for that meeting. And obviously our next meeting is due to take place on the 3rd of June, prior to consultation closing on the 9th of June. So that's a sort of broad, that's my mental list of what I know is happening out there in the East West Rail world. I hope that's okay so far. And I just wanted to, so this is really just picking up on the, and I'm going to move to the grant issue. So this is what we agreed at our meeting on the 1st of April. That Clerk Sue was going to write to East West Rail to ask if those sessions could be held in the evening or weekends to enable those who work to attend. And I think they've now had, or are now planning at least one meeting in the evening. I know they've had technical problems, and so there's been a bit of chopping and changing there. So I think that one, you can say that's done. And then we had the points 2 and 3, which are from our minutes from last time. And Michael and Paula, I just copy and pasted this out of the minutes. Now, I don't think we've actually seen anything. I think Sue sent you the grant criteria and application form, but I don't think we've had anything in response in this one. And then on the third point about a fact-finding exercise. Oh, sorry, have I copied the same thing twice? My apologies. I think I've cocked up there. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. My apologies for that. I'm just going to try and, I thought there were 3 separate items within the minutes. I was trying to work my way through the minutes to confirm some actions that were agreed at the last meeting. And I think I've not quite copied the third item correctly. I think the first 2 stand though. And that's, so anyway, that really is that's a precursor to this single item on our agenda about a grant to Be Fair. Any, Michael, Paula, do you want to comment at all?
Yeah. Can you unshare your screen,
Oh,
Mark?
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
So,
yeah, carry on, please, Paul.
So just the grant for Be Fair, I circulated to Sue to share with the rest of the councillors 3 requests from the ward that I represent in favour of Brickhill Parish Council paying Be Fair a contribution, and I've forwarded those on to you all. I don't know, Michael, if you want to talk any at greater length, but we've had, both Michael and I have attended 2 Be Fair meetings in the last couple of weeks, and it's true to say that Ravensden, Clapham, Reynolds, Wilden, Boston, Bletsoe, Roxton have all contributed to Be Fair, and by my reckoning the only one that hasn't so far is Brickhill. May be incorrect on that, but I think Great Barford are doing something similar at their next AGM. So I would like to pose a motion that Brickhill Parish Council support the grant funding application for Be Fair to support the endeavours of the actions of working with the other parishes.
Thank you, Paula. Sorry, trying to get back to my screen. Right, that's a motion proposed. Is that seconded?
Yeah, can I just add to that the amount the other parishes are giving is £1,200. Obviously, a lot of those parishes are in a lot smaller and in a worse financial position than we are. Such, so that is the sort of figure we're talking if we wanted to match them. But yeah, I'm happy to second it if no one else does.
Okay, so any questions on that motion?
Yes, I have a question, Mark, if I could.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned at the last meeting that we have a grant application process for any request for money from the parish council, really from anybody. I'm not aware of seeing anything from that. I'm not aware where the application is. You say something's been applied for, but I haven't seen an application. And there's some key information in there which we need to know, in my opinion, before we commit any money to anybody that asks for it. So this is.
I sent the application to Sue.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Sorry, someone sent the application to me.
Yeah, I sent it to you last week.
The application. Oh, but I'm talking about parish
The grant
council.
application. The grant application.
I've not seen that.
Oh.
I've not seen it.
Oh, okay.
I'll
resend it.
Yeah. If you resend it now, I haven't seen that. Apologies. In fact, I was going to say if you could send it wider than me, because if I go, I'll have to go off my stream. So send it. And then possibly in that case, you're going to have to go back perhaps to that item, go on to the next bit and then come back to that item, if you see what I mean. And then I can try and send that out by email to you all. Is that the answer?
Are you okay with that? Everyone's can we move on and come back to this then? So we're not leaving it, Michael. Paula, we'll come back to this, right?
Yeah, can I just add? I hadn't realised we was meant to be given a written report. I only realised that once I just read that, but we can certainly do that for the next meeting.
I think this is the challenge of minutes. So we've got to make sure, you know, what we're trying to do as the organisation is to minute stuff, minute decisions, and then try and obviously, you know, follow up on those decisions. Okay, so coming back to my slides, if I may, I think it's useful to just run through to try and break it down into chunks, essentially. Yeah. So just trying to share again. So moving on to the other stuff. So I mentioned that, so just reiterating the point, East West Rail have got this other meeting on the 26th of May between 5 and 6:30. And they're looking for any questions for council to send in by the 20th of May. So that's for us as individually, or if the council could agree any particular questions he wants to ask, we can send them in. Everyone okay so with that? And then, so moving on to the next item for that, yeah, so extensive consultation. So one of the comments that's been made is that this consultation process during the COVID makes it harder for people to take part in consultation, and equally, it's taking place during an election. So Stephen Moon has very kindly forwarded on to me his letter in Philippa's letter to East West Rail. And, you know, from my perspective, I have an expectation that any process that follows should be done properly. And if there's a basic proposal, if there's a basic scheme that should be followed for consultations, East West Rail should be following that pretty much to the letter, if not more so. And the fact that they appear to be cutting it short, shortening that prescribed period is not helpful. So I would suggest that as a parish council that we do agree with and endorse the letter from Stephen and Philippa and just request that extension. You know, it's only right that people should, you know, we should be following, East West Rail should be following the correct process for all these things. And this is one of them.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, is everyone happy with that? Okay. So can we'll agree that. Stu, would you please therefore write East West Rail?
Okay.
Hopefully you've got the letter from, have you got the letter from Stephen? If not, I shall forward it on to you.
Forward it to me, please.
Okay, I'll forward on to you. And if you could just, I think it's just endorsing their comments. I mean, I have to say, hand on heart, I've not read the Code of Practice on consultations, so I'm taking what Stephen and Philip has written at absolute face value. I mean, Stephen is here, I think. I saw him a while ago. I don't know if you want to, Stephen, if you want to chip in here, please feel free to do so. I can't see anybody, so sorry.
Before Stephen comments, sorry, is there now, before he comments, I'm concerned about this missing grant application. It'd be really helpful probably if Mike could send that to Philippa, not Philippa, to Paula or to Michael, and then if they could email that to you, Mark, so that you can screen share it, because then you could look at that application here, whereas at the minute I'm not able to do that from this machine at the minute. Is that possible, Mike, wherever you are?
Yeah, sure. I've just sent it to you, Sue, as well. But
right, if you can send it to Michael or Philippa, not Philippa, Paula, and they can then send it out.
I'll just send it to Mark. I've got Mark's email.
Yeah, if you've got Mark, send it direct to him. It just means that because I can't see the emails from my screen. That's all. Right. Sorry, Stephen.
Okay, that's fine. Can I just ask, Stephen, do you want to comment, please, on your letter?
Just briefly, there are 9 or 10 points, in fact, and but I think you've summarised the most important of them. I mean, it's worth bearing in mind that the consultation at the moment includes all sorts of other questions on customer experience and other matters that are wholly unrelated to the route alignment, which is the issue we're about.
Yeah.
But I can confirm that the summary or the reference to the Government Code of Practice is correct. But both Philippa and I have looked at it independently, and it is these sorts of curious things are our subject, so I can guarantee that it's accurate. We haven't yet had a reply, so the more people who push to support the letter, the sooner we're more likely to get a reply to it.
Thank you, Stephen. Everyone happy then that we'll send that letter just endorsing those statements. Perfectly reasonable, in my opinion, to expect them to comply with these sort of regulations. And I have to say, just as being slightly defensive in saying this, the last time they consulted was in the run-up to the election back in 2019, which again was not helpful. So they're doing these things in a cycle that doesn't help us help our residents. Okay, going to move on to my next slide. And Mike will get back to your email as soon as I can. We've had our meeting with the mayor, and as I say, that recording is available on the parish website. There are some things that I think we should be trying to find out more about in parallel with anything we do in relation to our residents. And I've just put some bullet points down there that we should be exploring to understand what East West Rail is obliged to do, and what, on the one hand, what are they obliged to do, and perhaps on the other hand, what they could do or should do. And I'm certainly interested in knowing about legal obligations to maintain the public footpath network in the area. And also, we've mentioned before about the access from Clapham, from Brickhill to Clapham. So these are just some thoughts about what we could be trying to explore in parallel with any consultation we do with our residents. And it builds on the comments we've put in the slides we went through with the mayor and Councillor Headley. Is everyone happy with that approach? Do you have anyone got any particular points we want to make in addition to these?
Yeah, I've got one point there. So Councillor Headley in that meeting, I've only seen the recording because, as you know, the public weren't allowed to join, which I find bizarre. But Councillor Headley made a comment about all the costs are available for comparison in the EWR consultation. They're not. So they've put a lot of information on there, but there are some vital pieces of information missing, or certainly when we ask them where they are, they can't point to them. One lot is the relative comparison costs between the pre-consultation costs in 2019 and the post-consultation costs, which they committed to the minister they would put in, and they haven't. The second piece of missing information that they've been repeatedly asked for is the current costs. Now, they do have the current costs for Clapham to Evanston, but they don't have the current costs for Bedford in there. So there's no way you can make a comparison to see whether the current costs for the route, for Route E, compare with either the costs in 2019 or the costs when they decided the route in 2020. And crucially, that includes the expensive bit of the viaduct and the working north of Bedford and onto the Clapham floodplain.
Yeah.
So those costs are missing. My view is I would expect Bedford Borough to be very interested in whether those costs are stand up to their previous consultation or not, particularly given the implications for some of this Bedford residents now. He also made some other various spurious points, but they're not important really. But the important ones is that the cost information simply has not been provided in this current consultation.
We could look, yeah, I'm just trying to get some bullet points, Mike, as to what we can look into in parallel with whatever we do with our residents, right? So any of the topics we should be trying to explore.
I think it's worthwhile, Mark, if I may, hearing how the other parishes are consulting with their parishioners before putting in a report from the parish council to East West Rail. There were a number of suggestions and ideas that the other parishes have already got well underway.
Yeah, I had a chat with Bernie from Remington today, and also Amanda Clinton from Reynolds, and they're doing things differently in both parishes. In Remington, they've actually done a survey asking people to send in their responses. Reynolds appear to be just asking people to send in particular questions or points, which they're sort of collating. They're not doing don't appear to be doing a formal survey as such, and they're obviously encouraging people to respond to the consultation itself. They're the only two people I've spoken to so far from outside of Brickhill.
I thought that was the point of both Michael and myself attending the Bee Fair to find out how we may wish to consult with our parishioners to hear what others were doing.
Mm-hmm. If you want to share information back around the council, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. So we're going to move on to the consultation in a minute, if that's okay. So under the heading, I'm just trying to come up here, we're simply saying, are there points we want to explore? For instance, as I say, obligation to keep the footpath network intact in some way, i.e. will they provide bridges and or underpasses or whatever it might be? Can we get better, I think this is one of Alice's points, who suggested about the bridleway adjacent to the railway if it does go ahead. You know, so we can at least try and get something from it, but we need to explore the options. And it could well be that, you know, if we're talking to adjacent parish councils, they may have it may time with what they're would like to do. And obviously I appreciate there are views which say we don't want to have a railway at all, but if it does happen, I really do want to make sure we can still get out to the countryside from within Brickhill. Yeah. So can we move on then? So this is what I'm just outlining. These are, so I'm just suggesting we should be looking at these, right? And then obviously we get into how do we encourage our people to take part in the consultation process within Brickhill. And I am just conscious of the time. Time is passing all the time. The simple thing is just say to people, look at the consultation and send in your views. Anything more than that, it gets more complicated.
I'd like to make a suggestion on that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it'd be very simple and straightforward to set up a Google form type of survey to collect people's opinions as they have in some other parishes. So Bernie was asking their parishioners to look at Route 1, Route 9 or neither, so that they had a kind of understanding of what the parishioners were saying. So no leading questions, no would you like it to go through the Bedford town, none of that, just impact on Brickhill and what people's views are, so that when we respond as an organisation, we're representing what our parishioners have told us. Again and again, they don't want Route E, but I think, you know, perhaps giving them an opportunity to respond via something like that as well, which collates all the data very quickly. You don't have to do any you know, paper and pencil type things, just as an addition to the other routes that you're suggesting there.
Yeah, so I remember last time when we looked at this back in March, we were discussing the possibility of doing a SurveyMonkey survey, because that's, again, I don't know about Google Forms, but SurveyMonkey is, again, a very straightforward way of asking people questions that collating, summarising results. If you frame the questions right, i.e. if you give them questions, either either yes, no's, or 1, 2, 3, 4 type questions, yeah, which people can answer particular answers, give answers to. So, yeah, we can do that, but we have to think about the practicalities of how would we then disseminate that to people. Do we do it on paper, or do we do it online, etc., or both? And then I'm just making the point also, this is the boroughs thing, where they have got their own questionnaire which covers all aspects of the scheme, including the bit across Brickhill. And so that's closing off on the 14th of May, as mentioned before. So, and then I really get down to our last, which ties in with what we just said there, Paula. If we're going to consult, how are we going to do it? What's our timetable? How are we going to collect the responses and summarize them and then agree our response? So we could do it at our next meeting on 3rd of June. If we have agreed and done the questionnaire, we can formally agree our submission by on that next parish council meeting.
Well, the deadline is the 9th. So.
The deadline is the 9th. So but I'm just saying our meeting just before that, so we could agree on that evening in time to submit it on the 9th, for the 9th of June, ahead of the 9th of June. But we just need to, we need to boil this down into some very specific steps here to make it happen, which is really what I was trying to outline in our March meeting about how could we go forward and respond. And I think this actually, I think the same things apply now. I'm just putting those things on the table, and obviously it's up to the council to decide what it wants to do or not do.
So my view is something's better than nothing. So we should do the easy option. I hate the phrase low-hanging fruit, but we should go for low-hanging fruit and do an online survey. If we want to do a paper one as well, then we can do that. But one way or another, we need to get some a reflection from our parishioners as to what their opinions are.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments from anyone else want to chip in? And
I just check my understanding and for the benefit of those watching, that what we're talking about now is collecting people's views to formulate Brickhill Parish Council's response as an organisation to East West Rail on what we think about their railway. And then individuals have until the 9th of June to submit their own contributions via the East West Rail portal personally. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can choose to respond as an organisation, as the council. It's for us to decide to do it or not to do it. I really do think we should definitely encourage people to comment individually, because as we have said before, we have no idea how East West Rail assess comments. We don't know if we are given exalted status because we're a parish council, or if they just treat us as one response and lump it with an individual response from a resident. They may treat us equally. I have no idea. We just don't know.
No, but I think it's right to present our view as an organisation to represent what Brickhill Parish parishioners are telling us.
Yep.
Can I make a comment as well?
Of course, Catherine.
I was just going to say, so if we had started and carried out the survey like I asked a while back, this would have helped inform us answering this. But now we're going to be on a tight deadline as well to get it in before consultation closes. But I still think it's important for us to speak to the residents and to inform us, to use that information to inform us going forward, but for us as well to still comment as a group, but also while we are doing that and communicating with the residents, to put on our communication how residents can also make their own comments to East West Rail, because not everyone will know how to respond to the consultation. So it'll be good for us to be publicizing that. So killing two birds with one stone. I don't know if I like using that analogy, but I think people get what I mean. So us promoting people doing the individual, but also us as a parish council collecting data to then also make the strength of our presentation to say, actually, this is why we're saying this. You know, this is on the basis of the residents and what they think, because I think there were people who volunteered last time to either deliver the papers, the survey in paper. I got phone calls from some of the residents who live in the back of me. I mean, there's groups, they have WhatsApp groups, so they were all waiting for the delivery and we're asking each other. So it can be done once we can just put together some questions we want to ask. And I know I keep saying this, and Mark, you still want to do the neighborhood plan. We could throw that in as well and get volunteers for the neighborhood plan. So, you know, another, I don't want to kill any more birds with another one stone, but, you know, we'll be doing more with, you know, in one go, because people are listening, our parishioners are listening. So let's use this opportunity to actually speak to them. And this is something that is deeply felt by a lot of people. So let's use this opportunity to gather as much information and support as we can when our parishioners are listening, because I know in the past we've tried to consult and people it's been like a tumbleweed, but this time round, this is a deeply felt issue, and let's give everybody an opportunity to fit in. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. I've got Alistair comment now. I'm just conscious, everyone, that it's 17 minutes past 9, so we, you know, technically we have 30 minutes left in this meeting unless we agree to extend the time permitted. Alistair.
Yeah, very quickly, Mark. Thank you. Just one thing. It's the quantity of responses that seem to affect East West Rail, not any specific one. So it's very important that people that are interested, motivated, and engaged in East West Rail provide their own individual feedback into the process, and not in any case wait for the parish council to do anything, because we will only be one voice along with many others. And just to pick up on the point about the consultation information from East West Rail is rigged, and it assumes that you're going to have route E whether you want it or not. The CPRE put out some information that I saw recently around how to word an email specifically to be included in the consultation, which would allow you to put your comments in as you wish to have them without having to be fitted into a specific format that East West Rail would provide to you. So I think it's quite important maybe to get that out as well.
Agree.
Okay, thank you. All right,
everyone. So there's also, in fact, CPRE took a lot of their stuff from our website. There's also that on the BeFair website, befair.org.uk, advice of how to respond to the consultation. The link's on the homepage.
Right. We can go back to the grant thing now, or we can try and agree some actions around the consultation process for the parish council.
So I'm just trying to persuade my techie guy who's running our website to set up a Survey Monkey. If he'll do that, we'll need to load him with the questions. But,
I can do my Survey Monkey. It's not. I can do that dead easy. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm quite okay with it. But I'm just looking for a proposal and an agreement by the parish council for what to do in terms of consulting with our people or not. And I'm just really conscious of the time. So, Alistair, are you still indicating, or for you?
Well, I wasn't, but if you want a proposal to suggest we should consult the residents, then absolutely I propose that, and I propose that we should do it as quickly as possible, quickly and simply as possible, and yeah, get on with it really, if that's the proposal. Sorry, I can't think of better words at this time of night, but that's pretty much it.
Second that.
Second that. Third it.
So
can I just add to it that you come up with the wording, Mark, and then send it out to us to sort of, you know, to edit if we feel it's needed or adjust or anything.
Are you okay with me? I'll draft something, and I'll try and make it as inclusive as possible, but also simple as inclusive / simple. I'm not sure how I'll get the two things combined, but you know, we'll try and cover all the bases.
Yeah, that's what I say, and then send it send it out to us.
Yeah, and bear in mind, we as a council, we only formally agree stuff here. Otherwise, we're going to have to need Sue to. Sue, I don't know if you want to comment on this approach.
Well, you have to do something, haven't you? Because you can't keep waiting to the next meeting. So you've agreed to go ahead with it. I would have thought that maybe once you try to email around 15 people, you're going to get 15 different sets of responses. It might initially be a good idea to choose 3 people and then circulate it. So that at least you've got 3 people who are very keen to be involved. So maybe Mike might be keen to get involved, maybe Paula, or 3 people. Otherwise, you're going to get 15 different sets of questions. With, you know, that's the problem with this type thing, isn't it? So in a short space of time, 3 of you sort something out and then quickly circulate and agree it. I don't know, it's up to you, but I can't see you can do anything else because it'll take you weeks to agree 15 people, you know.
Okay.
It needs to be done quickly.
Michael, are you happy to just do that?
Yeah.
I'll email you tomorrow with a basic proposal.
Okay.
Well, let's agree tomorrow. So close to play tomorrow. Please get your comments back. Let's try and agree tomorrow, and then tomorrow night we email it to everyone else. Okay. So it's going to be short and sharp, not too complicated.
I think it just needs to kind of get to the point, doesn't it, about what it is the residents want us to tell East West Rail from a Brickhill perspective. It's not about what do we think about this or that. It is about, you know, do we want Route E, yes or no?
Yeah.
What our preferences for 1 and 9, you know, that kind of simplicity.
Yeah, I will
Chairman, can I just say from a logistics point of view here, you bear in mind we have thousands of residents, don't you? And Ravensden don't have that many compared to us. So you're going to have to do something that's quick and easy, like Paula and others have said, that is analysed in the system. We can't be dealing with thousands of bits of paper coming in and trying to put together that. We have physically not got the time and we haven't got the number of people involved. There's only me as a clerk and we've got a range of other things going on, but you know, there's a logistics here. So it's got to be quick and simple, really, something that's analysed, like Paula says, in the system.
Can I ask a question, Sue? Would Simon be able to put it on Brickhill Parish website for people to just click and press the links? Because either through SurveyMonkey or Google Forms, it will add up responses. So we've got a total.
Well, I'm sure Simon will do. I mean, he's far more tech than a lot of people are. I'm sure he'll do his best to do that. So yeah, let's say he will, but you know, he's obviously not here to confirm. But I'm sure he'll do something, and that's the obvious way to do it. You're going to run out of time again, aren't you?
Yeah. Okay. So let's do that. Let's agree a survey, get it out there, and then come our next meeting, we'll formally agree our response. And in parallel with that, we've got some items to explore, if that's okay with you. And then we can use that as part of our any formal responses we want to make to the to East West Rail. But I think, you know, this is obviously it's a continuing process. This, isn't it? It's not just we've got the current consultation that's on now, but it goes on beyond that. So we need to just think about the longer term as well. Okay, I need to go back to the previous item I made, to the previous part of this item, the request for a grant to Be Fair. So Mike, thank you for emailing that. I've got it here. And I'm going to share my screen again because it's the only thing I can do at the minute. So Mike, in his email, he sent me three things through: an Articles of Association of the Be Fair Limited, a confirmation from the bank, or sorry, confirmation from to the bank that you've got an accountant, looks like, acting on your behalf. Yep. And then you've got the application form. So aims and objectives, correspondence address, name. Okay, I guess you've got your, have you got your bank account yet? Or is it still?
I wish we did.
Okay, right.
At the moment, the funds are being put into Wilton Parish Council's account until we've got that sorted.
Okay, So I mentioned you've got your articles of association already, and then you've got your details of what you're seeking the grant for. It's to cover legal expenses and campaign costs such as leaflets, banners, posters, web hosting costs, etc. And you're quoting you've got 4,000 plus back for the initial legal consultation, and other costs known after that initial consultation. So that's your consultation with a lawyer. That's what you're saying, right?
With a QC.
Okay.
With regard to judicial review.
Okay. So this, and is it that you maybe let me just go on then. Let me just go through this. Let's see. Is that it? Maybe that's it. So, and the point is a judicial review on the consultation, on the fact that you're arguing that the consultation process was flawed. Is that correct?
There are 5 main points that we've asked for to be commented on the initial consultation, on the initial engagement with the QC, and then there's an open question about what our other options are.
Okay. Anything else you want to comment about, Mike, on your application?
No, just that this is about literally putting the parish council's money where its mouth is in terms of the support for what the residents want, which is challenging the existing route.
Right. Any questions for Mike?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, Mark.
Please go ahead.
Could you just give us a view as to how much you've actually already got and what percentage of the monies would potentially be coming from Brickhill Parish?
So each of the parish councils have agreed to put in £1,200 so far. So Paul read out a list of, I think, 7 earlier, and in fact, Great Bath had voted, I believe, voted last night to agree it as well. So I think we're up to about 10 or 11 grand at the moment. So what's that? What, 12-15% of the my maths isn't that good, Alistair. So that, at the moment, that's what will be going in. Any unused funds, if there's a if there's a chunky amount, any unused funds from parish councils will be returned on a pro rata basis for the legal fees. If it's a nominal fee, it was going to be donated to a local community cause or charity.
Yeah, thank you. And could you just describe where we're going with this? Is this a one-off request and then that's it, or are we going to see future requests?
Well, the answer to that lies in the result of the first consultation, Alistair. So we don't know. So it's a one-off to start with, but you can always say yes or no to any future requests. You're not.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, just
not committing beyond the initial request. Put it that way.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mike. I mean, I'm just getting my head around it really, because this is by far the biggest single request we've ever had put in front of us. And to be fair, everybody that puts a request in is deeply passionate about what they're asking the money for, and very engaged.
It's a once-in-a-generation opportunity.
And you know, we have to look at these things carefully. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions for Mike, please? I can't see everybody's screen, so I might be missing some hands. If there's any hands being raised but I can't spot, then
I was just looking, sorry, I don't know if you can see me, I can't see you. I was just looking through the community grant application information, where it says the parish council will consider, you know, donating money or offering the grant where there's a positive effect on an aspect of Brickhill community, such as its health, wellbeing and environment. And I think on all counts, the impact of East West Rail on the Brickhill residents is there. So I agree with Alistair, it's a large amount of money. But as Mike says, it's a once in a lifetime event with massive impact on the parish. So, you know, my motion earlier stands. I'm quite embarrassed as a person that one of the largest parishes hasn't donated to this to contribute with our other parish neighbours. I think it's about time we stood up and supported it like we said we would a couple of months ago.
That's a statement rather than a question. Are there any questions for Mike? I think I can see people's faces now. Any comments then? Any other comments on this?
Mark, why don't you stop screen saving perhaps for a minute? Then people...
Okay, if everyone's happy with what they've seen, hopefully it's clear that we've got some figures here that Mike has shared with us. We'll get that round to everybody, but okay, I'll stop sharing for now. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments then? Anyone else want to make about this?
Yeah, I'll make a comment, Mark. I won't be supporting it. I think that it's not a suitable use of parish council money. I understand that that people feel passionately about this, but we are dealing with the realities as they stand. That Route E is the route which East West Rail have selected coming out of the railway station in Bedford. So we have to deal with that reality and try and make sure that we get the very best for Brickhill residents. And I'd rather that the money was spent on trying to make sure that we go for a Route 1 or the line which is the same for, I think, a couple of other routes as well, 1, 2, 3, which is north of Brickhill, and use the money to make sure that we can start expanding our country parks, making sure that we get the very best out of what is being proposed. I really do worry about the fact that we've got some of the parish councils now, which have been mentioned, who are actually advocating for this railway line to come closer to Brickhill for Route 9. And I'm really disturbed about that. And these are people who are supporting BFair. So I do think that as a parish council, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we get the best deal for Brickhill residents. That's as far away from Brickhill as possible. That's beyond our country park, expand our country park. And that's where we should be putting our resources, not into a company which I think has already tried to have this campaign that they have before the rail minister and has not got anywhere. So I think we're just throwing good money after bad. And we're much better to use our resources for the residents of Brickhill, making sure that we get a good deal, or the best deal we possibly can. Because Route E is the route that we are dealing with, not another route. And we've already been told by the government quite clearly in the way in which they've proceeded with this, that this railway is going to happen. And putting our heads in the sand, I think, is the wrong way forward.
Can I just make a comment about that?
Well, Michael,
we're not.
Sorry,
Councillor Royden's conflating two issues there. So he's conflating the current consultation with the challenge for what's already gone on. And yes, we've met with the rail minister, and we have an invitation to go back and meet with him again, which we will be doing. But we're waiting to get the legal advice first. So. Actually, there's no reason why we can't battle for whichever route alignment within Route E we want right now within the current consultation. You don't need to conflate that with the fact that the previous consultation was flawed, and they're two separate issues, and they should be treated as such.
So, Mike, sorry,
thanks, Mike. I don't want to get into an argument with you, Mike, but you did go and see the rail minister, and he still carried on with the consultation process. He didn't pay any attention to what you'd said.
Let's, if we're not careful, we're going to have the same conversation we've had for the last 3
okay,
right?
Yeah.
So I think from I know Mike, and again, Mike, please, if you want to speak, please indicate. I'm trying to call people in the order which they indicate. So I always try and be fair to everybody in these meetings. But Michael was wishing to come in and speak.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for once, I actually agree with Charlie in what he said, in that we want the route as far away from Brickhill as possible. Unfortunately, he voted for it to be as near to Brickhill as possible. So we're trying to do something about that as best we can. You can sigh if you want, but the fact is, East West Rail will influence by the decision the borough council and the mayor made. That's fact, and we're representing their residents by trying to do something about that. Whether it will work, I don't know, but we're here to represent the residents who, in the majority, don't want it coming through Brickhill in any way, shape, or form.
Well, can we move to a vote, please, on this proposal for a grant to be fair?
Could I just confirm before we do that, Mark, that the residents that have emailed in with their objections to Route E in support of Be Fair has been circulated to everybody? So when I'm coming at it from this angle, I'm speaking from residents that have contacted me and asked me to put their perspectives forward, which I feel I'm duty bound and have done.
Yeah, you have done that, Paula. It's fine. I've seen your email. I've seen the attachment to it. That's fine. Thank you very much. Right, can we take a vote, please, on this? So we've got a proposal from Paula, submitted by Michael, for a grant of £1,200, I think you said, which is to match the other parish councils across the northern area. Can I see those in favour of that, please? And we're going to have to go through, again, a called vote, I think, on this one too, please.
Shall I call it? So we've got Alistair.
Sorry, hang on, please. 1 moment, please. So, Michael, you're indicating again. Oh, sorry, you're back on mute. You okay?
Sorry, that was a yes. I was waiting for it. Sorry.
Right, I haven't got.
We'll call the names out, and people can vote either for or against.
Okay,
Or
Alistair.
abstain.
Alistair.
For.
Catherine.
For.
Okay, Charles. Against, I think you've already said, haven't you? Charlie? Yeah. Corinne?
Against.
Okay. Mark?
Abstaining.
Okay. Where am I going? Peter?
Abstain.
Okay. Paula? For,
For.
I presume. Stuart?
Against.
Okay. Vince?
Against.
Okay. Wendy?
Against.
Okay. And Mike?
Michael.
Mike.
Sorry, Mike.
Barlow.
Mike Barlow.
I'm guessing, as I put forward the grant application,
well,
I can't vote.
Still have to, well, that would be, I would say that is a good idea, really. So Peter, obviously, we know he's not signed his paperwork, so he's not able to take part. So in that case, I've got 4 in favour, 2 abstentions, and 5 against. Is that right? Agreed? So I've got Alistair, Catherine, Michael, and Paula in favour. I've got abstentions from Mark and from Peter. And I've got against Charles, Royden, Corinne, Paula, not Paula, Stuart Green, and Vince Holloway and Wendy Ryder. Am I right?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay.
So that is fine. That proposal is lost. It's 5-4. It's lost. I'm really conscious of the time, everyone. We're over time. Can I just go to one more item? I know there are still items on the agenda which are still important. We need to deal with at some point, but I want to deal with item 15, if that's okay with you, everyone, and then end the meeting. I know there's stuff we need to cover, but we're going to have to leave it for another time. That's all right. So item 15 is to review and approve an application for a new grant to support the work on the neighbour development plan. As you're aware, we had a grant last financial year for this. We only spent part of it and we have to return the balance. And this is simply a grant to tap into funding for this new financial year. So we've been somewhat hit by COVID, and hopefully we'll be able to resume the work. I mean, I think I heard what Catherine said earlier, but I suspect we need to really try and pick it up once, if there is going to be a good time, once we've got past this current East-West Rail consultation period. So which is obviously not far away, but sometime through the summer, back end of the year, we can look at the NDP and try and talk to residents about the some of the points that are involved in that. This is simply to apply for a new grant. We need to get a formal agreement with the parish council to do that. Then we get into the details later. Hopefully you've seen the email I sent out earlier today. Can I ask for your support, please, for that?
Yes, you have my support, Mark.
Anyone like to second it? Peter, Blayton, thank you. Everyone else, any questions on it? Any comments? Can we take that as being agreed, please?
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed. And I do wish to close the meeting at this point because we're way past time now. And we've got to try somehow to get through our agendas. I know we've had important issues to cover, so we're not trying to stop talking about important things, but somehow we need to get through the other things as well.
Can I make a suggestion, Mark?
Oh.
Because you're going to leave yourself open to criticism if you don't cover the complaint on the agenda.
I think that was held over from a previous meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, okay, all right. Well, can I just say, let's just reiterate the point. So what happened was Charlie and Wendy sent in their monthly report. They included within it, also attached to it, a letter that they sent to East West Rail, and both of those are actually put up on the website. And when there were comments made, I think it was then, the letter was then taken down. So, and just to be clear, the way the website works, Simon, our web person, he does all that stuff, and he was acting in good faith when he put the thing up there. Sue, do you want to comment on it, please?
Well, yes, you're exactly right. I mean, it's rather like tonight I've circulated to all of you the report from the Brickhill counsellors. So I've simply sent that out, and that's what I always do. And then I always send it on to Simon to put on the website. So I did, I sent the email. So I assume both of them should be part and parcel of the councillor's report. So when Simon put them on, and when he realised that there was issues about that, he took it off. I have no access to Facebook. I can't access it, nor can any councillors. I think it's important people don't think councillors or I access it. What goes on there is what would normally go on from parish council meetings. So it's usually something that's been discussed at this meeting that goes on. So in that case, that was our error between me, and I can't really blame Simon. He just put on what I sent on. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what happened there.
So anything else to add to that one, Charlie, Wendy? Do you want to comment at all?
No, we like to be as open as we can with what we're doing, Mark, and we share that information with the parish council, part of our work as borough councillors, and it's not created a problem in the past. I'm sorry if it has on this occasion, but I don't believe that we've done anything wrong. But if the parish council don't wish to publish the information that we sent to them, then that's for the parish council. I
think I have to say my personal view is I'm very happy to publicise any information which any of the borough councillors, Brickhill or Great Barford Board wish to circulate. It all adds to, it's all grist in the mill.
Yeah. So,
you know, we're not there to take sides as I see it. Okay, can we note that? So we've noted the action we took. We note the action was taken. It should, you know, I guess we agree that it shouldn't have been added, and it was taken down. I mean, we just try and be careful about this to make sure we don't go further than we should do.
Do you not think it should have been added, Mark?
Well, I mean, I don't have any problems with. I mean, it's a bit like if I can just refer back to Stephen and Philippa's letter to East West Rail. To me, that was to quote Mr. Trump, that was a perfect letter. You know, it was a good letter. The points were made. It was on a conservative headed note paper. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. You know, they're doing their job.
Yep.
Good, you know, good on them.
I think people have a right to know what our views are and what we're doing as borough councillors. I mean, Stephen and I think Stephen will agree, both want to see East West Rail coming into Bedford, and so people have a right to know that I believe East West Rail should come into Bedford. We perhaps got different views on what happens next, but people need to know what my views are, and they need to know what Stephen's views are, what Wendy's views are, because we're borough councillors representing them.
I don't think that's what the point was. I think the point of the complaint was that the way it was presented was that it was the views of the way it was presented, not what was said, is that it was the views of the parish council.
Right. I'm sorry about that, but that was not our intention at all.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lesson there again, I think, for us all to make sure.
Yeah. Thank you. It was clearly stated. It was an open letter from us as borough councillors, and if people have got the wrong end of the stick on that, then that should not have happened.
Okay. Right. Is that can we now close the meeting? Is everyone happy for us to do so? And we'll have to leave some items again over to the next time, including discussions of the lovely flowers in around our signs. But I just want to, it's 9:47. If you haven't voted, you've got 13 minutes. Let's say.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Can we just have the freight strategy further up the agenda next time? Because that'll have been carried over 2 months now, and I think it's pretty important, actually.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, fair point, Alistair. I have this at work as well, where certain items in the agenda never get discussed, so we've got to try and circulate the agenda a bit to make sure we get those items a bit higher up.
Can we do the grid, the starting grid in reverse order?
That's it. Sounds perfectly fair. Right. Well, thank you everyone for attending. I'd like to thank members of the public, and we'll meet again in June. Please do take part in the East West Rail consultation. Go to the events, give feedback.
Mark, can I just make a comment before we go? I can see somebody on the chat saying that they keep being thrown out of the meeting. I've got to make the point that I'm certainly not throwing anybody out of the meeting. I'm sure you're not. And at the minute, I can't see that person trying to get back in. I just really wanted to make it, because I've got no other way of letting that person know that, you know, but no, I can't let them in, okay.
You never know if it's the technology at the centre or on their equipment, you know, it's all prone to these sort of things, I'm afraid.
I have to say, I'm not throwing people out. I'm just... No, quite right. And equally, I'm not doing that either, so. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, and take care. Bye.
Bye.